from Konami.
I'm surprised I even found a commercial of that. Okay, so of all the games that I was planning to play for this month, the one that excited me the most was Policenauts. This is basically the game that Hideo Kojima worked on between Metal Gear 2, along with another point-and-click adventure game I've talked about before called Snatcher. And just like Snatcher, this one never got a wide release in the United States, so it's become something of a hidden gem for fans of Hideo Kojima. And it's a shame that they've never bothered to release this game stateside because it actually would end up being sort of the birthplace of a lot of the same ideas that Hideo Kojima would eventually incorporate into the Metal Gear Solid series. I'm glad I finally got to play this because it definitely was one of the highlights of the month. So basically, Policenauts tells the tale of a group of police officers who are selected to be trained as police officers. Let me start over. The game basically tells the tale of a group of police officers who are trained to be astronauts so that they can serve as peacekeepers aboard the first space colony. Unfortunately, one of the police officers, or policenauts as they're called, has an accident regarding an experimental spacesuit and is flung into space. Thankfully, he's saved by the suit's cryosystems, but they don't find him until 30 years later, at which point he develops astrophobia, meaning that he can't stand to be in space anymore, and also finds that everyone in his life has basically moved on without him. So he returns to Earth to start anew as a private detective in LA until he is approached by his former wife, who needs his help in regards to her missing husband. He's hesitant about taking the case, but after she's killed moments later with a car bomb, he decides to check it out and discovers that something very sinister is afoot in this world. So the plot of Policenauts is just stellar on all fronts. Like, the way it's told, the way it's paced, the way the characters speak and talk to each other, like, it's exactly what I think of when I think of Hideo Kojima's work. And it's refreshing to play something by him that isn't connected to the Metal Gear Solid series. And a lot of people are probably going to bring up Death Stranding, but like, I enjoyed this so much more than that game, just because of the style of the game. One of the things that has always characterized Hideo Kojima's work is the unique approach he has to technology. He refers to it as near future technology in that it is advanced, but it's still plausible for the type of technology that we have today. And Policenauts is really the first game he did to really explore that type of world. Something like Snatcher was more cyberpunk, more akin to Blade Runner, and the original Metal Gear was more grounded in reality. So I feel like this is really where Kojima perfected his trademark style in regards to world building. It's also brought to light by some really beautiful graphics for the time. He was going for a cinematic anime vibe here, and I think he did a really good job bringing that to life. His artists need to be commended. There's also lots of really creepy imagery in this game, like even just the marquee image for the promotional art, like the 5 policenauts in the orange suits silhouetted against the blackness of space. Just looking at that, there's something unnerving about that, so I can't really explain. It's just a really well put together plot and game. As for the gameplay itself, it is very much just a point and click adventure game. You basically just find yourself talking to NPCs, trying to get a grip on what's going on with the story. And the story continues on once you've exhausted all the potential dialogue trees. It's not like other point-and-click adventure games where you have to do inventory puzzles, but there are some action sequences which basically just see you pointing and clicking on enemies to, shoot them. Which you can also play with one of the light guns if you're playing on the Saturn, which, again, you can't really do these days because the light guns don't really work all that well with modern TVs. I would say that the gameplay in Policenauts is pretty shallow, all things considered. But this is a game that you play more for the story and the general art style of it all. I wouldn't say that Policenauts is a game that hangs its hat on its gameplay, which really boggles the mind as to why Konami has never bothered to release this game in the States. Because, especially with how popular Kojima's games have been. I mean, package this with Snatcher, and I would buy that on Steam day one, for crying out loud. In regards to how I played this game for this retrospective, the modification I got from my Saturn came with an English version that fans had made for the game. And that's also widely available for emulation, also patching Japanese versions of the game, which are actually pretty cheap and common, all things considered. So this is a good way to play Snatcher Policenauts if you've never played it before. Though I wouldn't say that this really lived up to my expectations. I was kind of hoping for more gameplay with this one. I was still happy to finally experience this game. This is still one of the better games that's been released on the Saturn, I would say. But anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Join me tomorrow as we take a look at the next game.